Back to AYR ASMR.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Shut the fuck up, or I will mute all of you.
But yeah, welcome back to REL recording.
Are we just starting over again?
Yeah.
No, this is the episode.
You can do it. Come on.
Today we're talking about social justice and the current reboots and stuff that are happening, all the changes.
And all the media.
Yeah, all the media being changed about IPs that we hold near and dear to our heart. So recently we watched She-Ra, the She-Ra remake. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a She-Ra fan, but I know what She-Ra is about. I was a He-Man fan, original He-Man.
You get the gist of who she was.
Yeah, I get the gist of who she was, and it was He-Man. It was He-Man with a girl.
She-Man.
Yeah, it was She-Man.
The she-woman.
No, it was She-Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... And it got me thinking about, the Thundercats that's coming up. We've got Teen Titans Go that's happening right now. Amazing show, but...
Shut up. How dare you?
No, it's really not bad.
I am still going to boycott it to the end of the world.
Why? It's a good show.
I have to tell people
It's
to
not-
boycott it.
No, you know
Teen
what?
Titans, though.
It's just like Phil said, he says Teen Titans is because Teen Titans ended before its time. We were all really into it. It was
Everyone
all
was
really
into
good.
it. And then some
And then...
executive was like, no, that's fucking stupid. Let's
No,
cut
you
that
know
out.
what it was? I
What?
think it's because they couldn't sell toys off of it.
I
And the Cartoon
heard
Network
that
killed it
was
for that.
because girls were watching the show.
That's BS.
That girls were like
Yeah,
really big
that's the
fans
rumor,
of
is that it was not going towards their target demographic.
Which was...
boys. They wanted to sell
Boys.
toys to boys, but instead girls are watching the show.
And probably not buying toys
Yeah.
because they're in the boys section.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so...
I mean, that's why Teen Titans died, and then years later we get Teen Titans Go. So those of us who were watching Teen Titans were kind of offended at first.
I'm still offended.
Like it wouldn't be so bad. I would have been fine with it had they changed up some of the designs, right? Like,
Instead of like dumbed it down.
yeah, because it's obviously our Teen Titans. Like, Cyborg looks the exact same, and it's the whole same voice crew.
We didn't do introductions.
Oh, I'm Wyatt. That's Maya, Devin, Bill.
Yeah, you know who we are by now, right?
You're a bad host. You're a bad host.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
who are you?
It's
How'd you get in my house?
it's his first time. Give him a break.
To be fair, we did this once before, and we did it right. But...
What are you talking about? This is our first time.
Oh yeah, my bad. No technical difficulties.
We weren't sitting here for 15 minutes trying to figure out what happened to our mics.
Absolutely not. Why would you even ask that?
You were saying what?
But yeah. So I forgot what I was saying.
It's okay, we can rewind it.
Basically, what you were talking about was, as far as in all of media, there are changes being made, especially in this day and age, where it's a big thing that you see in the last 5-10 years or so, where our beloved characters are being changed for reasons.
Oh, to appeal to a wider demographic, a more diverse demographic.
But in
and
doing so, they're not expediting, but alienating the people that were originally watching
They'll
the
be
show.
fine. They have plenty of things.
So like,
But if enough people do that, then everything that I love won't be the same.
I have a good example of that, but I'm gonna let Wyatt go because I know he's got something to say.
yeah. So one thing I was saying was because Maya and I had this conversation after watching She-Ra, and one thing I said was She-Ra would have been a perfectly good show had they not called it She-Ra and changed all the names.
And
So basically
I agree with
making
that.
a new IP.
I agree with that. Like, a lot of people's complaints is that it's not their She-Ra. It's not a bad show. It's just, it's not She-Ra. So, like, I also am not a fan of the original She-Ra. I went back and watched a few episodes, and it's kind of not great.
Granted, this is from the 80s.
Yeah,
It's from the 80s. And a lot of what I was, at first I was like, okay, well, the original fans of She-Ra were probably like preteens
Mm-hmm.
in the 80s. So now they're 45-year-old adults
Mm-hmm.
who are sitting here watching a show that's for 10-year-old girls. So obviously it's not going to appeal to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Steven Universe is also for 10-year-olds, and that appeals to everyone. I mean, as long as they're
And
not
what about
homophobes and
My
racists.
My Little Pony? So that's a thing.
That's a whole nother discussion. I've got plenty to say about that.
Well, I'm
That's
saying,
another
I'm saying
podcast.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
expect 30-year-old men
Yeah,
to
yeah.
want to watch My Little Pony,
But
but they do.
I do agree with what
Brony
Wyatt was
life is real.
saying. Had they have not used She-Ra the character,
Mm-hmm.
like left the entire show the same, changed her name to whatever, and
Lady Woman.
Lady Woman, like it would have been a decent show and no one would have been crying. They're crying because she's not
The same.
feminine. Like a lot of the complaints I'm seeing is that she's not feminine enough. Yeah.
But I've seen that animation style, and it doesn't warrant whatever these older folks are calling for. Granted, you look back to She-Ra in the 80s, those were done a bit more realistically. G.I. Joe was done the same way. He-Man, of course, was done the same way. So their anatomy is based off of real life, whereas,
No, their anatomy is based off of toys.
yes, yeah, but when I say that, I mean there's a bigger basis in reality than it is for She-Ra now, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
We experienced this same problem way back when Miles Morales was first introduced to the Marvel Universe. It was a big to-do because it's like, we're introducing a new Spider-Man. He's going to be half black, half Hispanic. Everybody lost their damn minds.
He's not
Where-
my.
was the-
He's
was
not
the
my
outrage
Spider-Man.
the same with Lady Thor?
No, it
No.
was pretty much the same with the new Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, with
And
Kamala
I
Khan.
love Kamala Khan.
It was pretty much this. Like those two had the exact same reaction because it's like that's not my Spider-Man.
that's not
Spider-Man's
my
supposed to be
Marvel.
white.
To be
What?
fair, for Miss Marvel, that was a bunch of perverted incels complaining. Because, let's face it, Miss Marvel didn't have the biggest fan base to begin with.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
But then you get a young teenage, Arab girl. And that changes things entirely for folks.
I can't fap to that.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
But yeah, when I noticed it when we had the whole Miles Morales situation, I was like, this is a character who's not replacing Peter Parker per se. He did for a little while, but this is the Ultimate Universe. It's not the 616, which is the usual universe
Well,
for
the
Marvel.
Ultimate Universe was designed to replace 616.
And it didn't happen. And we were losing the Ultimate Universe. Now Miles is in the 616 alongside Peter Parker. He's not there to replace Peter Parker right now. But Miles is his own character. He just appeals to a completely different demographic while using the same name. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I think the issue is that the writers and creators and producers and stuff want to appeal to a more diverse demographic, but they want to stay safe. So instead of creating new characters for these, diverse group of people, they're using old characters that everyone knows and then changing their skin color and their gender or their sexuality.
And it's really not working. It's causing the exact opposite of what they're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, but I do understand from like a producer's point of view, it's more risky to create a completely new character and put a bunch of money behind it.
And watch
And
it
you don't
fail.
know if people are going to like it. But if you take, Spider-Man, who everyone likes and everyone knows who Spider-Man is, and then change him to, a mixed race brown person, then, it's safer than creating
A
a
brand
brand
new
new
character.
superhero.
But it only works the first few times, right? So it worked for Miles Morales, and that was perfectly fine. Miles Morales is huge now, It worked for Captain America, but everyone kind of expected Captain America to come back.
Oh yeah, when Falcon took over.
Yeah, when Falcon took over, so it wasn't that big of a deal. When Thor became a lady, for those who actually read the story, you knew within the first few pages, oh yeah, Thor's coming back. Like, it's no big deal, right? And then Kamala Khan, they didn't get rid of the old Miss Marvel. She's just
Became
Captain
Captain,
Marvel.
not Marvel.
Captain Marvel, now the character's still there. But it's just Kamala Khan is a completely different character altogether. She just uses the same name.
Yeah, so... Oh, man.
Devin went down. Speak again, Devin?
I don't know, did it happen again?
It's happening again.
Yeah.
I thought it was 9 seasons in a movie.
No, 6 seasons in a movie.
Okay.
So, thank you for coming back. You didn't go anywhere. We did. We've been having some technical issues. We
All of our
apologize.
computers died.
No, we like to call that an intermission. You know, where everybody, there's this thing that comes down and it's like, hey,
I need a
potty break. Go take a potty break. You
I
know,
need to put a slide in there.
Yeah, just have a brief intermission.
No, you should put a slide in
Put
there
some nice
that's
cool
like
music.
like an office space that's on fire. And everyone panicking while they're trying to get everything, save everything. Because that's what we were just doing.
Pretty much.
Technical issues. Please support us and send us money.
Because with your support, no, we're going to straight PBS this. Go ahead. Background music, I got this. Now, with your support, we
It's
can
really
give you
loud background music.
Yeah, you are really. You're making it worse.
Actually, yeah, back up a bit.
Back up, damn it. I'm trying to appeal to the people so we can get more funding.
What? He said he needed more pudding?
See, just completely killed it. It's like, with your support, a dime a day will make sure that this show gets audibly better. Because without your support, this show will die.
What is it? The Jurassic
I don't know. That's the only thing that I can come. It's the only thing that comes to my mind.
But for real though, if you would like to support us, we will create a Patreon, and with your support, we will give you more content because we're making money to take care of those things.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a Patreon later.
We need funding.
We
to make
need
this,
the money.
We need No, not just money. We need funding to help produce this better.
Wait, funding is money.
Your
Yeah.
money.
If he's money, why are we struggling?
So, back to the topic at hand.
Like I was saying before we got so rudely interrupted.
Wyatt, no, don't make it angry again. Please.
Yeah, we kind of need it. But no, seriously.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So I was talking about, the first few heroes in the Marvel line.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out that they changed the race and gender and whatnot.
Oh, let's reiterate what we said before because it dropped out. So, what I had said that you probably couldn't hear, it's probably gonna get cut out. What I had said was.
What I had said.
What I had said was what it seems like people are doing right now, and it might not be working very well, but they're trying to play it safe by using old characters that we know and love and changing their skin color, their gender, their sexuality to try to appeal to a broader demographic. And a lot of people aren't on board with that because it's their characters that they know and love. But from a financial standpoint for a producer, it's safer to use
sense.
someone that you know than to come up with a new character altogether and put money behind that when you don't know if it's going to do well.
Yeah, but we didn't see as bad of a backlash from Thor, Miles Morales, Captain America, and Kamala Khan. Mainly because of the situations, and Miles was like pretty much the first one they were to really do it, so it was kind of a new concept. But we saw a major backlash with Amadeus Cho and Riri Williams because we realize it's a trend, right? Like the underrepresented portion of the world are just getting leftovers.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got an Asian superhero, but he's just the Hulk.
Yeah. And it's like Mosaic. They came out with Mosaic, who's a original black superhero whose powers aren't electricity.
Sweet.
And it's actually a really good story, and he's like such a cool hero.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, they didn't put any
Yeah.
Because
any
it's
advertising.
too much of a financial risk to put money behind him when you could put a bunch of money behind Shira and change who the target demographic is.
The thing is, though, like, because Mosaic is so solid, and they know issues down the line. It's not like they're getting the issues when we are. They're 3 issues ahead of any comic book that is releasing.
Mm-hmm.
So they should know it's a strong enough comic book to be able to push out at least something.
Well, one thing I have heard about the comic business, though, is that they may not receive any type of true feedback until months down the line if that issue's been sent out. So there is an issue there. My biggest issue, like what's been said, is that when you're changing what's already been established for the sake of appeasing an audience. But it's a double-edged sword, because when the audience is given something new, they don't want to respond to it. Instead of creating a character that's a completely different IP for any medium, comics, cartoons, whatever, movies, we want to prey on what's established. And I would like to see more, because like we've said in another episode, we're in this age where so many people are so creative, and they're putting out so much, but in order for you to get seen or to get noticed, you have to use what's already been established, as opposed to giving this brand spanking new thing some type of chance.
Yeah.
I wish as people we would look at it differently, but we don't.
But there's a big enough market out there that I think that, especially with all the reboots, we're tired, right? It's like hero fatigue. A lot of people are tired of heroes, but I mean, everyone's tired of reboots, So that's when you do see things like Steven Universe taking off, because it's a new IP, it's something fresh, it's something original, even when you look at the webcomic scene, there's thousands and thousands of webcomics, and it's hard to, swim through it all, but
Most of it's garbage.
yeah.
No, there's some that are fun.
No, I didn't say all of it's garbage. I said most of it's garbage.
But like when you do find that gem, then it builds a following.
Yeah.
That nobody's tapping into.
Which is disappointing. Because I would like to see new heroes come from, say, the big 2. But if you want to see new heroes, you have to go read from smaller developers. I'm not saying Image is that much smaller, but Image, they come up with different stuff, or just completely deviate from that scene altogether, where comics the biggest boom is in superheroes, but there are so many other types of stories you can tell visually. That's why, like, one of my favorite comics is a Hack Slash. All it is a comic about a girl who hunts serial killers that are based off of stuff around the movies, and I think that's great. It's not a superhero book. It's not. Or there are books out there like Adam Warren. He's a great artist. He does Empowered. It's about a girl who wants to be a superhero, but she is terrible at it. The only time she's really good at it is when she's not trying. And it's not your typical superhero book, and it works. That's one of those gems that folks took a following to. And I wish folks would say, okay, what we have is great, but let's try for something different. Let's try for something new. Because that gives more... what's a good word? It gives more thought to what's different in this world. We want that representation for everybody of all creeds and colors and races and sexualities, and you don't have to use what's already been established to do it.
Yeah.
Just create something new, and hopefully, the right people, kids even, will see it, and they'll see something in these new characters, these new stories. But that's all about taking the time to do it. You can't just prey upon what we already have. You got to try something new.
Yeah, like I even think there's room for spin-offs. you know, instead of reboot. So back in 2003, no, I don't know, 2000 something, there was a He-Man reboot, right? And he wasn't a freaking brick like, you know, original He-Man, but his outfit was true. He was still buff. He was, you know, a blonde dude with the green tiger, and all the other characters made about as much sense as the original He-Man, you know. But it was more true to the original, you know. So you don't see that kind of backlash that you saw with She-Ra. You know, people aren't as belligerent, you know,
and offended because their childhood didn't die. That's what we hear a lot these days. Because I know we got that with the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles.
Because that looked really, really weird.
Well, in the first movie, they looked really weird, and they were overly sized. But they dumbed down the size in the second film. And if you're not a movie buff, you don't see it. But I can tell they're significantly smaller. Because they listen to the audience, and it's like, I don't mind. These turtles, while they are the same turtles, are not the turtles that I grew up with. The turtles that I grew up with are corny as crap from the late 80s, you know, but it appeals for its time. So I'm not mad at, you know, Michael Bay Turtles. I'll sit and watch Michael Bay Turtles.
But like when you mention like it appealing to people of the time, like if you're trying to make a She-Ra and appeal to the kids of today, you know, you're not going to have a 6-foot blonde bombshell. You're going to have somebody that looks like a teenager, you know, someone that looks like the people who you're trying to appeal to. So I understand like the redesign, but I also understand the backlash behind it. Like, you know, like Wyatt said before, if they had called it something else, it would have been a perfectly fine, it probably would have been doing really well. But because they called it She-Ra and used that IP, people hate it.
Yeah, because you got to realize, you know, when you call something, if it's not Transformers, because we've been trained, you know, we've been trained since like you know, we were small. All of us as kids at least had 3 different Transformers. You know, you had Generation 1, Generation 2. Didn't they get a reskin?
Something like that.
Yeah, all of them got a reskin, and then Beast Wars.
Yeah.
You know, which was drastically.
Wait, that was Transformers?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was something different.
No.
Beast Wars was Transformers.
Beast Wars was Transformers.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime was Optimus Primal. They couldn't use the gorilla. Yeah.
Okay.
It was weird.
Or like I was a little bit later, so I think I came in at like the end of Gen 2 and beginning of Beast Wars, and then I got Armada and then Energon. Right? So we've been trained that okay, this is normal. We just get different renditions of Transformers. So now like Transformers look super kitty and round and soft, and but nobody's sitting there crying about it because it's like, oh yeah, this is about right.
This is what Transformers do. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean they'll get back to the hardcore stuff later. No big deal.
It's like, and I point this question in mind. If say they did something crazy like took Sailor Moon, and I know you hold
I
Sailor
made the
Moon.
same thing.
Yeah, he tried to make the same. He tried to make the same point when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yes, it takes Sailor Moon, and all of a sudden, she's a black girl. Why the heck not, right? That doesn't offend you as a hardcore fan of that character, of that franchise, as long as the story's done right.
I don't know. Like, so if you, what they did, because they did do a, like, not really a reboot, but like a redo of Sailor Moon, and it was the same story, the exact same story, the exact same plot, same characters, everything. But they gave it to an animation studio, like a really cheap animation. It looked so bad that I couldn't watch it. Like, they redid it for the DVD, like they sent it to a different studio, spent more money on it, and then the second season came out and it was better animation quality, but because the first season was so poorly executed and I couldn't finish the first season, I didn't go back to look at the second one. But for something like Sailor Moon, if you changed the way they look, which is part of like who they are, like, so if you went and made, you know, Sailor Moon a different race, then it's like, I mean, I'd still watch it because I'm a hardcore fan. I might not like it, but I'd still watch it, right? Just to see like
just
how
for the
this
sake
goes.
of the fandom.
Yeah. But like what we were saying, or what I was saying to Wyatt when we were talking about it, he was saying, well, what if, you know, they came out with Sailor Moon and they changed the animation style and it looked more like Steven Universe? Be like, oh yeah, I'm down for that. Like, as long as they stay true to the story and, you know, that. But it's because I'm a hardcore fan. And the thing with She-Ra is the target demographic, or the people who are watching She-Ra when it came out, when they were, you know, 10-year-olds, are now 40-year-olds. They don't want to watch a show for 10-year-olds. But people who are hardcore Sailor Moon fans, who were watching it when they were children, will still watch Sailor Moon when they're in their 60s.
There you go.
I think that's just a difference between.
What if they had taken Sailor Moon's all the characters and then just made them into lollies?
I'd still watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think that
hardcore,
you know what I think that is. That's a matter of being a hardcore anime fan.
Yeah.
Anime fans are far more forgiving, in my mind.
But we don't get these kind of things in
anime. Yeah. They're not trying to appeal to American audiences.
That's true. They keep hold of their ideal, their Japanese ideals, in everything that they do.
Yeah.
Even if they do send it overseas, they're not going to change much. I mean, they'll drop some things for.
They'll change donuts.
They'll change a
But
cigarette
that's
to a
not
lollipop.
That's not the Japanese producers doing it. That's us doing it.
Yeah, that's us
Have you
changing.
seen the way the Americans, our studios have changed the original Sailor Moon stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you saw
the
it's been-
dubbing and
Well, not just the dubbing, but like with like the
They're cousins.
yeah.
No, not just like that, but like just stuff that they added.
Yeah.
Like you know how it's like next time on
Oh.
Sailor Moon and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's for the censors or the FCC. Like, they back then they required that if it was a children's TV show or a children's cartoon, it had to have educational value in it. So they tacked on some educational crap at the end of the
I
episode.
remember
With like
those.
some Saved by the Bell background.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember those. Those are terrible.
But like if you because I went back and watched some of the original She-Ra, and at the end of those episodes it was the same thing. There was like some kind of like, you know, kumbaya, love your friends and be kind to people.
That is
Hey,
purely an
if you ever
American.
Eat
think
right
if you ever think it's a good idea to punch that person, don't.
That's a purely American thing.
Yeah.
Any other country, they don't do that.
But
Yeah.
like you know, I guess with anime, you know, it's different. But like, so like going back to the Transformers, we're expecting different Transformers, but there's only been one She-Ra in history, right? They were planning for that He-Man reboot. They had designs and everything, but it got canceled first. But we have an idea of what to expect from She-Ra, you know? So when it comes back and she's chibi, you know? Like, then it's like, oh, whoa. What?
A lot of the complaints that I saw were that she was too tomboyish. And she wasn't curved, like she wasn't feminine. So they wanted her to look the way she looked in the 80s, which isn't going to fly for a kids TV show now.
Yeah, what they got away with 30, 40 years ago, you can't get away with now.
Yeah.
But like you can still edit things to look similar. They could have gone with her looking more like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman still wears a short skirt, you know? No one complains about her short skirt.
Or sometimes it's just, well, not anymore because of the movie, but it was just the bikini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you know, going with the more
Bathing
Wonder Woman styled, you know, design would have been closer to what we got back in the 80s. Just like they did for He-Man, and there's also a Thundercats reboot Another one that was pretty good that I feel got canceled too early. But they even drastically changed the design of a lot of the Thundercats characters, but it was still how we remembered it back in the 80s. But when you go back and compare, it's obviously different, you know.
I don't, you know.
It was still mature looking.
Yeah. I don't think, you know, changing style should ever be a big thing, because, you know, animation changes from year to year. The biggest issue with most folks, to me, comes from when their characters are drastically changed. I know, and say like Voltron, the new Voltron on Netflix, aren't two of the characters gay?
Yeah.
And that was a big deal to folks. Not even in a bad way, which I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, you know, because, you know, those characters weren't that way in the original Voltron years and years ago.
Yeah, so they actually did a really good job with Voltron, even though it is, you know, drastically different. The number one, the art style.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really good, and it does justice to the old Voltron. You know, it's a pseudo anime style. You know, old one was anime. Voltron looks fantastic. You know, in it, and then the story was pretty good and engaging, and it's the characters who we came to know and love with a bit of a redesign. You know. So now that it's, what, are we 6 seasons in? Something like that? 5, 6 seasons in. Now they decide to, you know, make some, or at least reveal some major changes. It's not that big of a deal, you know.
They've had the time to grow on it. Get the audience into it, and then when you make changes, it should be okay. As opposed to just starting something. Oh God, I wish I could talk about this, because you guys haven't seen Fantastic Beasts yet.
No,
not yet.
See it, because there are things we
I'm
have to
kind
talk
of
about.
sick of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Like, it's super.
Hello.
Yes.
What?
Huh?
Mom wants a
Mom,
coke.
you know you can come in, right? It's the whole. Yes, it's the whole reason why we named the show what it is. There's not actually a Coca-Cola.
Because yes, we are
in there.
recording.
It's either root beer or
Dr.
Dr. Pepper.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put this in. And you put them in there when you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, like another thing. So this She-Ra, another complaint people had was that it was the gay agenda.
Oh yeah, the gays are winning because the gays and everything's gay. But bro, like, everyone's gay. Like, I honestly, truly believe that no one is actually 100% straight. And, like, gay people are out and about, and they've always been out and about, as they should be, and they need to be represented. Like,
And that's the thing. That's why this whole social justice thing is such an issue these days, is that everybody wants to be represented in all forms of media. I mean, being homosexual goes pretty far back in comics. There have been characters who have been gay for the last 20 years at least. And I don't see it as a big deal.
But like this is just another thing of, had they called it anything else, it would have been fine. Because, you know, there's scenes where, you know, there's men holding men's hands and women holding women's hands. There's nothing overtly gay in the show.
well, except for the two characters, the two princesses who are close. The blue and the pink one.
Are they cousins?
But they don't kiss or anything.
As long as it's
I
not.
think they did. Like, at the end, it was just like a little innocent peck or something.
I think the issue is, as long as it's not it's not overt, like, you know, they're just slobbering all over each other, and it becomes excessive.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're trying to knock home the point. They're gay. They're gay. They're gay.
Yeah. But I think it belongs in today's time, but it belongs in new IPs. You know, like
It doesn't have to show up in
established.
established IP.
I think it's okay to put it in an established stuff.
Well, I think like an established ongoing thing. You know, like He-Man, there was nothing straight or gay about it, right? There was absolutely nothing talking about, you know, relationships. It was just people hitting each other.
But then again, that back in those times, they weren't pushing social issues like cartoons do today.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fine. But I would like to see some new things and not changing characters
For the sake of changing it.
Yeah. If it came out tomorrow, Peter Parker's gay. Like,
wait, he's been with Mary Jane this whole time.
yeah, exactly.
That would inspire outrage, and I understand that because it will definitely come out of nowhere. It's like Peter Parker's been around for 50 years, and all of a sudden now he's gay.
I decided I didn't like Mary Jane no more.
I decided
I'm gonna go be with
I'm not
Tony
straight
Stark.
no more.
I'm gonna go be with Tony.
I am delivered.
people would have a fit, especially since we live in an age post Stanley. I have to say it like that because rest in peace, Stanley. But that would be stepping on the creator's grave, and to say, I mean, if there's a different character in that world, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're taking an icon like Spider-Man, saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, the reason why things never work out with Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Felicia Hardy, Silk, whoever else Peter Parker's been with over the last 50+ years, it's because he's gay."
Yeah. Instead, we need a new character, or hell, there's a whole entire multiverse.
Yeah.
Pick anybody from the Spider-Verse, have them come over and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gay. Don't you see my rainbow spider?" I'd be like, "Yeah, that's right.
That's fine.
That seems about right." Yeah.
I mean,
isn't there like a collective of a bunch of spiders that think they're Spider-Man? Isn't that a thing?
it's a Spider-Verse. It may be a thing.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing. There's like a million spiders in a Spider-Man suit because they think they're Peter Parker.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That's terrifying.
I read that. I need to go look at that. I want to read that.
But
that's terrifying to me.
Change for the sake of making an audience, a particular part of an audience happy, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Creating a new character, and it just happens to be that way, if you flow into it, as opposed to making it such a on the nose kind of thing.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes
how
no
do
sense.
people know that they're gay if they don't say it?
Oh, simply, they get killed off. Because I like Luke Cage. This happened in Luke Cage, and this pissed me off. Right? It's Shades and his buddy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The whole first season, there's never been hints to this.
Yeah, he's been on Mariah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Luke
they've
Cage,
been.
You're not gonna watch it.
But yeah.
One of the bad guys.
I know who
Luke Cage.
who Shades.
Okay.
I've seen most of the first season.
Okay. Yeah, apparently he's gay, but they only kind of touch on it briefly.
It's like,
And then they kill off
The
his lover.
best friend, whatever. It's something that they were hinting as, like, hey, what happens in jail, prison stays in prison, kind of thing.
Like if that had been it would have been fine. Like because I was like, oh, okay, some gay shit went down in prison. All right, then whatever. And you gloss past it, but then like there's this whole relationship thingy that was happening behind the scenes.
And then when he has to kill him, it feels awkward.
It felt forced.
I would have felt more emotion had they been best friends, like they said through 2 seasons, that they were best friends who grew up together.
But forcing in the fact that they may have had a relationship in prison, like you said, feels forced.
But Voltron did the same thing, and fans were outraged about it. Like Shiro and I yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Shiro is had a gay best friend, or no, he had his lover, but they killed him off. Like they briefly introduced him and then killed him immediately after. And then fans were like, well, what the fuck?
Why bring it up if we're not going to experience this relationship?
Yeah. So I understand the outrage where it feels like it's gay baiting. It's trying to get those,
trying to get that
viewers.
audience in real quick.
Yeah, trying to get some fans in, and then just like brushing past,
Yeah, but the whole Shades thing was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Prison, something went down, but y'all were pushing hard after the fact. And then when Shades has to kill him, you feel bad for Shades, but I'm still thinking of it in terms of he had to kill his best friend because his best friend was a snitch.
Yeah.
Not he had to kill his lover because, like I said, he was hard on Mariah, which was... oh.
Love has no age.
That's a
Let that old lady get some young butts.
It was weird. To see Mariah and Shades make out was hard for
But
me.
what I love about
Or did
it,
it make you hard?
No.
what I love about it is that everyone else was visually uncomfortable as well. Like, because they'd be in the room and they'd be like, I'm gonna go.
It's weird. Catch up on Luke Cage because they canceled it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to see new things exploring these kind of
Concepts.
concepts and topics and stuff, because when you put She-Ra, it's gonna draw in 40-year-old people,
And they're going to be expecting their She-Ra.
yeah, they're like, oh,
Not a show for 10-year-old girls.
or like in Invader Zim. Invader Zim's getting a I don't know, are they continuing or is it a reboot?
I have no idea.
But all the designs are pretty much the same. They're tweaked slightly, and you can when they're side by side, you can visually see the tweaking of them, but it mostly looks the same, So they're appealing towards the demographic who, I mean, we're all angsty adults now. We're angsty teens and now we're angsty adults, and we're gonna go back and just watch the same show we used to watch.
But I think we are of a generation that is a bit more understanding. When you speak about characters like She-Ra, He-Man, the Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, and you're talking about cartoons that were big in the early 80s. These folks, like Maya has said, are in their 40s now. They're grown. They're not just grown, they're grown. And they want to touch back on what they enjoyed about these characters as kids and introduce their kids to these characters. Okay, you can introduce your kids to these characters, but just know that times have changed. We're going to tell different stories now because different stories have changed this world. We, as the younger of the adult, generation, we have an innate understanding of that. At least I like to think so. So when changes like this happen to characters of old, or of old for us, we're a bit more understanding. At least I like to believe so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a completely different culture now. So like I was saying, her body type back in the 80s was perfectly fine for a kid's show back then. Just like a whole movie about, nerds getting revenge and basically raping some chick disguised as the boyfriend at Revenge of the Nerds.
Did that happen in Revenge of
Yeah.
the Nerds?
Bro, that was the whole point of the movie.
Do you realize I haven't seen Revenge of the Nerds since I was a kid? I gotta go back and watch Revenge of the Nerds.
For people who haven't seen Revenge of the Nerds, Philip and Devin, apparently.
No, I've seen it. That was just a long time ago.
So, dude's nerdy, dude, sad, whatever. The chick, or the chick's boyfriend, it's popular chick and popular dude. The chick's boyfriend is in I think it's a Darth Vader costume or something.
Oh, I remember that
And
now.
she wants to fool around and he doesn't. So she goes into the little tent, and then so the nerd dresses up as Darth Vader and fucks her while he's wearing the costume. And then takes off the mask when they're done fucking, and she's like, "Oh, are all nerds as good in bed as you?" And instead of being fucking outraged that she was just raped by a fucking stranger, this was okay in the 80s.
Not now.
If that movie came out now, people would be fucking pissed for good reason.
Yeah.
So the whole climate has changed where if you have She-Ra's body type from the 80s and try to pass that off as a little girl's cartoon,
Something for
parents are
little
going
girls.
to be pissed that, these unrealistic, body standards are being
Placed
pushed on
on
their
their
little
kids.
girls. So, I understand the changes. I also understand the outrage of, people's, beloved characters being changed. If you want to redo She-Ra, redo it for 40-year-old adults. Don't redo it for 10-year-old girls.
Find your demographic and play towards that demographic.
Yeah.
Don't hope that your old demographic's going to come back and be okay with whatever changes you make.
Like even Mattel, they went and showed off like some of their new like vintage She-Ra figures that they're going to be releasing. They have She-Ra big sideshow collectibles style She-Ra figures and stuff. While they were showing this off, they didn't show off anything about the reboot. They released all the She-Ra stuff because the reboot's coming out. They didn't show anything for the reboot. And
they look completely different.
Yeah.
Because it was just meant to appease the older audience.
Mm. So, yeah, they should have appealed towards, even if they're still appealing towards 10-year-olds, then they needed to put a style and a story that was closer to the original, even if it is changed for today's standards. You can still have a big beefy chick who's sexy.
Some people are into that kind of thing.
Why'd you look at Philip?
No, my eyes darted to Wyatt because I know he's a big She-Hulk fan. That wasn't for you, Phil. That was for Wyatt.
Okay.
We know you like your women tiny
And chocolatey.
and chocolatey.
Sorry, you've been quiet. You haven't added
I'm
anything.
just looking at this thing, making sure it don't die again.
I think we're okay. Okay, but so I'm asking Phil this because you've been quiet for a while. I mean, what is your thought process on this whole thing? I know it's a lot to take in.
And again, I wasn't really paying attention because I was. No. I'm not. I'm saying I wasn't paying attention because I was bored. I'm saying I wasn't paying attention because I was concentrating on this to make sure that we still had levels and make sure we're still going good.
I know, but
for the majority of this thing.
Yeah.
So.
So if they took
one of your most beloved.
what if they took the Boondock Saints,
Okay.
remade it, but instead of two Irish dudes who are brothers, it's two black dudes who are lovers.
And they're fighting for the because God told them to take out all the bad guys. Can we make this? I want to make this now.
Oh my god.
Two gay guys got a message from God saying kill all
the bad guys.
kill all the bad guys.
Oh my gosh.
I want to make this now.
Actually, that sounds like a really good movie.
It sounds amazing.
Oh, we're just saying,
Okay, so like people were fucking outraged about the Ghostbusters because they made them, a bunch of ladies.
I understood.
Like, okay, so I watched the original Ghostbusters as a kid.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was funny, whatever. Merchandising, toys. But I didn't have a problem with the movie.
Not at all.
Like the lady movie was perfectly fine, and I kind of had a hard on for
they're funny.
The nerdy one.
So this is what would have made it perfectly acceptable. Had they gone with the established lore from, there's cartoons and comics and stuff, gone with Ghostbusters Inc., and had where the original Ghostbusters existed, saved the world previously, and now there's a new generation. This team just happens to be all female.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a draft that was like that, but they dumped it.
Yeah. That would have been perfectly acceptable, and it's like, we've got our original crew, who
they did the do and did what they could, and now the world is going back to crap again, and we got a new team, as opposed to let's reboot the first film.
With all ladies. I don't know. It's just a movie.
The thing is, I didn't hate it.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. And like the whole reverse sexualization of the secretary was fucking hilarious.
Nobody thought that what's her name was sexy. That voice.
Oh, Janine.
Yeah.
Her character's name was Janine.
No one thought Janine was sexy. If you did. Sorry, I made a face. I'm sorry. That voice would have nagged me to death. But I mean, then in the female led one, we get Thor, Chris Hemsworth to play.
But hey,
the second
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
His character was so dumb.
for the thing is they're ruining the character by making their female version of this. No one's coming into your house and taking your old versions of the ones that you like. You're still gonna have those. Like those still exist. No one's coming into your house and saying these don't exist. I'm taking these from you.
You can't enjoy this.
You can't enjoy this anymore.
This is now your established law.
Yeah, this is what you have now. Deal with it.
But like even still, it's something you feel passionately about, and you feel like you can't enjoy a piece of something that's near and dear to you. You know, the reason why everyone's mad about the new Star Wars trilogy, is because there's some major problems with it, and you've sat there through 6 movies, if you're including Rogue One, 7 movies. And Solo.
8 movies.
So you've sat through. I guess that came out after. So let's say 7 movies. You've sat there through 7 movies, and then like. It screws up, that ruins your enjoyment of a series that you really enjoyed, that was part of your escape from reality.
The thing at the end of the day is, we as fans need to be a bit more accepting of the changes as long as they're not stupid.
Yeah.
And not
You just gotta stop making stupid choices.
I want to see more LGBT content. I want to see more characters of color. I want to see more, characters that are different body types, especially for women. And you slowly start to see that in your mainstream media, but they have to do it through characters that you already know. Because if like some, fat brown super heroine came out, most people aren't going to go and buy that comic because they don't know who she is. So I understand using pre-existing IPs as a device,
but don't depend on it.
There's different ways. So like even Hulk wasn't a main character before. He was a side character introduced in, was it Fantastic Four?
The first time we saw Hulk, I think it was in his own book.
Was it? I thought he was a side character.
Because it's like you're thinking like Wolverine was a side character.
Yeah, Wolverine was a side character.
He showed up in a Hulk book. But I think.
Anyways, a lot of the characters we have now that are mainstays were side characters, and they introduced them through other books, especially Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four was like the testing ground. You threw somebody in, if people liked it, then he got out.
Yeah, he got his own book.
Yeah. If they didn't, no, he stays in that issue for the rest of eternity.
Aw.
Yeah. So I mean, there's ways to do that. Like even the Civil War, Civil War II. Regardless of what people thought about it, that was the perfect time to introduce more heroes and give them a bigger role. Like Mosaic had a role in it, but it was a small role, and then you just kind of never saw him again.
So I think the real question is, as fans, are we ever going to truly, I mean, we can only speak for the 4 of us in this room, but are we ever going to be understanding enough to say, you know what, that new character was cool?
No one will ever be understanding enough to do anything like that. Everyone, I'm not even like, I'm being serious. If anything changes with something, the fans are going to be not okay with it. They're not okay with change.
But like a brand new something.
A brand new something is okay.
Yeah, I think so, as long as it's not competing with established things too much. You know, you can make a brand new character and stick it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but don't go and try and make a brand new character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and have it competing with the already established Avengers arc. You know,
it's like
Deadpool could do it because he's big, but had there been another superhero, brand new superhero at the same time as Deadpool, brand new hero would have failed, because that was at the same time as Avengers.
Was
Infinity War.
Hancock a?
Hancock is an original IP.
He was an original IP.
He didn't compete with anybody though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had nobody to compete with him. Hancock is his own character. Yeah, he came out during a boom in superhero films, but he was so drastically different. And the fact that we love Will Smith is a big selling point. When you think of Will Smith is Mr. Summer Movie. If he's got a summer movie coming out, everybody is almost guaranteed to see it. Everybody's waiting for Bad Boys 3, by the way.
And I wanted to see more Hancock. There was supposed to be more Hancocks, but
Yeah.
I don't think he was signing. He didn't want to sign on for them.
Yeah, and it's like that's an original character, an original IP, a guy who's not even sure where he came from, because every time he dies, or something drastic happens between him and his other, they get too close, they're vulnerable, and when they're vulnerable, bad things happen. They lose sight of each other for a long time and then come back together years and years down the line. It's just that's the revolving story for them. Now, with that, you can tell different types of comic stories where, something happened to her, they disappear from each other for a long time, and then they're two completely different people 80 years down the line. That's a brand new story you can tell. But we as fans have to be willing to accept these kinds of stories. Like Maya was saying, she wants to see more LGBT characters of color being represented in all forms of media, comics, movies, whatever, and I am so down for that. But do you think as fans will be okay with accepting new IPs and new characters as opposed to having them change the established IP
I think
for the sake of meeting our quota?
I think people want new stuff. The problem isn't the fans not accepting it. The problem is the people producing and putting their money behind these things. They don't want to take the risk in, putting a shit ton of money to make a big budget film that isn't going to appeal to, the masses, or they don't have confidence that it'll appeal to the masses. So we're stuck with the way it is now, until independent companies can get the funding to make big budget things and get it out there for a lot of people to see. We're stuck with where
Being an independent.
Yeah, we're stuck with where the old heads of companies and CEOs and the people with the money, they dictate what we consume.
Because you see this with Overwatch. Overwatch is one of the biggest games out right now. Like, it's canon that Tracer's gay, right? There's comics with her and her lover. There's right, and there's diverse body types. There's a diverse color of cast. Like, it's with it being so big, it's obvious that people wanted something new, something original that had these kind of elements in it. Even if Tracer being gay isn't a huge part of the game, I mean, it's still as a fan of Overwatch, you can go and explore their personalities more. There's even shorts of a lot of these characters.
Yeah. So I think people will be fans of what they like. They just have to be exposed to it, and producers
have to be ballsy enough to put it.
Yeah, they need to be more risky with their investments and put money behind content that's different from what we're getting.
The established norm.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate your support. We're gonna leave some links to some social media stuff in the comment section, and please do the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and if you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please, we want to hear from you guys, because this will always be a big, important issue.
And if you think we're full of shit and you don't agree with our opinion, let us know. Let us know that we're wrong. But if you agree with us, let us know you agree. Also, because we're sensitive. Well,
please don't hurt my feelings.
We really appreciate you watching and joining us, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.